In today's crazy world, we're constantly using things we don't need, doing things we don't like, and never really moving forward or getting the results we're hoping for in either ourselves or our animals. Are you ready for a change? Join me, Wendie Patrick, your host on Quantumly Yours, Finnessiam Health's podcast, and become empowered to take control of you and your animals' health and well-being. We're all quantumly connected, so whether you're round the corner or around the world, it doesn't matter, because we can help each other and all work together on our journeys. So come, join me, and together we'll myth bust, share advice, knowledge, truths, and suggestions to help you awaken, grow, and continue your journey to a healthier, happier life. Hello, it's Wendie here at Finnessiam Health, welcoming you to another Quantumly Yours podcast. And I know the last couple have been a little bit depressing or sad. So I'm going to change it back to the pups for a bit today, and we'll talk a bit more about your animal or your dog specifically, and what they're doing by licking their feet all the time and all that horrible coloration that you're seeing on paws. So we're going to sort of go into that a little bit, give you some insight, give you some suggestions, some things to look at, some things to try. First of all, I'm just going to welcome those of you who have just joined us or found us for the first time ever. And yet, Quantumly Yours, we try to share some insight, knowledge, education on alternative methods to help you and your pets have happier, healthier lives and continue or even start a journey to get there. Maybe you've been putting it off. Maybe you've been trying so many other things that you're just fed up with the same old, or having a pill for an ill as an answer all the time. And you're delving deeper into your health, or indeed your animal's health, or indeed you've started with your animal's health first and getting them into the best state they possibly can. Then you realize you should be doing the same to yourself. That's kind of where I started too. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you again. If this is you coming back for a 30th time, 27th time, third time, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you're here, you're hearing this, it's fantastic. Now what I'll ask you to do is share, tell your friends, post the link in places, recommend us to others. And indeed, if you can do a like, or even more so, a comment on any of our actual videos on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or anywhere else that you can do a comment. If you can, that's wonderful, because that increases the algorithms and people think, oh, look, they're commenting. They're actually getting some sort of response. So it bumps us up the list a little bit. So then we can reach more of an audience and hopefully help more people and their pets. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about lots of people have come to me over the years with dogs, especially whenever I was grooming, with little stained feet or staining around the eyes, or around the chin and everything else. A lot of times, is it coming from inside? Is it coming from outside? It's both. And just through what I've found out over the last decade and a half of working with animals from a grooming standpoint, and then from looking at it from the inside out, it's very interesting how my journey is developing and constantly evolving. And I'm learning more by looking at what these animals are displaying, what they're showing me, and indeed what they are giving me results of whenever I'm doing the kinesiology, applied kinesiology, muscle testing, remote communication, whatever else. So hopefully with What I've found over that period of time, if you're just starting on this journey, maybe it's a new dog that's started to do this or display some different little behavioral issues, even, or just a habit that's formed where he's just constantly going at that front left foot all the time. So let's start from the outside first, I guess. Although you know me, if you've been here before, I'll jump all over the place a little bit. So yes, we go off on tangents all the time. But we will get back to the point of the thing. So dog comes in, left front foot, licking all the time. What you want to look at is there anything in it? That would be your first go to. That should be obvious. If it's just one particular foot, obviously, if it's a dark or like a black lab, for example, you're not really going to see a discoloration in that foot, perhaps. You'll just maybe catch him always gnawing on that foot, especially if he has that leg turned over and he's going in on the underneath in between the little pads. That's usually the first indication I would do is get down there, get a wee torch, magnifying glass, whatever it is. Help to hold him in case there is something in there. It may be sore and he doesn't want you having a feel around. But the first thing I would do is, even if you can just get him nice and quiet with you lying up beside you, is just, gently talking to him and that is fine. Oh, what a good boy. Let me feel that foot. That's really good. And just run your fingers and thumb around where that big main pad would be on the paw. So that nice sort of big sort of V shape groove, if you like, which would be around the front of that main pad. And just feel in there gently, go up and down around the actual little curve that's caused by that, and feel if there's anything that feels a little bit, oh, well, what's that? Is that just a little, is that a little piece of grass? And that might all be all it is. There could be a tick in there. There could be a sliver of wood. There could be a thorn. Very common indeed. Um, Now, if there's nothing there, and that's fine, I'd go and investigate in between those toes. Make sure that you're encouraging him to stay calm. You must also remain calm as go, oh, what's wrong with your foot? Oh my goodness. Okay, that doesn't help at all. No, 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 no. Once you try that a few times, you'll realize you're not getting anywhere. Energy, folks. Remember, we talk about energy all the time, intention, frequency, vibration. So if you're main cam, oh, what's between your toes? Oh, look, lovely toes, aren't they? Oh, they're so nice. Let's feel what's in there. And, just keep nice, happy, lilting voice. Nothing to worry about at all. He'll be kind of like, I don't know about you, but okay. All right, then. You find something, you're going to fix it? And even tell him, I'll fix it up. I've got the opposable thumb, so I can do this. I can do this manipulation that you can't. So let me have a little look. Let me see what's in your foot. You may find as well, it's not a black lab. Let's go for a little Shih Tzu, Maltese, whatever it is, something that grows hair longer between the toes. Maybe you're not very good at doing that combing. Maybe the brushing goes across the back, but you should be also combing as well as brushing, and therefore going in between those toes. Because one of the most common things that will cause incredible discomfort is if that dog's got a little mat in between his toes. So there he is chewing away. It's like chewing on your fingernails all the time, except imagine trying to chew hair from in between your fingers. Because if you try to move your fingers, it's pulling the skin because it's tight. And the more that wee doggy is licking and sucking on that piece between its toes, the worse it's getting, the more compacted it's becoming with the saliva. You're getting the staining as well, and adding insult to injury. So let's hope, okay, it's a thorn, it's a little piece of wood, it's a stone, a little cut perhaps, spray a little bit colloidal silver on that, give it a wash off if you need to, away you go. And, or maybe it's a little bit of matting. So you can go to the groomer or get something very, 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 very carefully to remove that. Maybe you have a little set of cordless clippers. Maybe you need to use yours or your husband's, depending on who's listening to this. and just go up one side and down the other and come back and go the other way by holding those. Just press on that foot. The toes will splay open a little bit, and you can do that. Be very careful. If you're trying to go in there with a pair of scissors, be very careful. You can cut skin there way too easily. So, lesson to you, if it is that, make sure in between those toes is part of your grooming routine for your little hairy dog, especially with the hairy feet. So it's not that. Right. That's one out of the way. Says nothing in the foot at all. They're gnawing at it, they're everything else. Okay. What I want you to do is actually then massage your way up that leg, right up into the shoulder. And as you're going, just very gently, I mean, I'm not asking you to do a deep tissue massage here that you would go to someone or a Turkish bathhouse and get beat up getting one done. I am just talking about very light, tingly, almost like a lymphatic massage that you would get done just to do lymphatic drainage, where you're literally just fingertips tapping on the skin, just rubbing your hands on either side of that dog's leg and foot. So check around the wrist. What you're looking for here more than anything else is the dog turning away, showing his teeth if he wants to give you a little bite, nibbling on your hand, going, stop that, or just looking really, really worried, or yelping. Now, if you've got to the wrist or the elbow or the knee or the shoulder, wherever it is that you're going on that leg or what leg it is, if there's a little yelp, then that's usually an indication there's a little bit of pain in there. So, okay, Wendie, all right, I did that. And dog's all weird about his elbow, doesn't want me to touch his elbow, and into his shoulder and everything up around that whole front side. So there's something wrong there? Well, then why is he licking his feet? Well, put it this way. Your dog's lying there, discomfort, sore shoulder, let's say, for example, or sore elbow, for example. Maybe he sprained it. Maybe he ran too fast yesterday. Maybe he slipped in the ice. Maybe he jumped off the deck. Maybe he jumped out of the car. Maybe he fell off the sofa. Maybe he just lost his balance somewhere. If he's an older dog, that's going to happen more often. Maybe it's arthritis if it's an older dog. Who knows? Your vet might, or your natural practitioner or natural holistic vet, whatever you like, whoever you like to use, or somebody from a distance who can do communication and do muscle testing and actually feel the pain from the animal, because they do pick it up energetically, which is kind of what I do. Yeah, it's the freak I am. Anywho, so say it is in the elbow or whatever, you find that the dog seems to be have some discomfort around that area, and you're going, well, why is he looking at his feet? All right, think about it. And this is how you have to start thinking about it. It's like, what's connected to that? Well, his foot's connected to the elbow, but that still doesn't make sense. Why he's licking his foot, not his elbow, Wendie? Right, okay. So if you're sitting in the house and you're a dog and your shoulder's sore, and to move your head or to move your arm, leg, your shoulder hurts, you're not going to do it, right? You with me? Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is something that takes my mind off that shoulder being sore. Now, I can't reach around and get to that shoulder and lick that shoulder because it's really uncomfortable. But there's my foot right below my nose, and I can lick it. And I can nibble on it and I can do that. And it's kind of self-soothing. So if I'm doing that, I'm taking my mind off the pain up here. So that's one thing to look at as well. If the dog is showing some issues going on with a foot, for example, 9 times out of 10, if it's not the thorn or the stone or anything, then it's going to be pain in the body somewhere else. Now, doing energy work, doing as the light therapist, as quantum touch, just being intuitive, you can pick these up by scanning the body. Animal Reiki will do it as well, where you can basically scan the body, even just hovering over different areas and feeling where it feels tingly or warm, or if you're finding some heat in an area, that's usually a bit of a sign of some inflammation. And then you can do some work on that, release it, move it through. If that all sounds mental to you, that's fine. You can also just order some smart oil on dogsofpride.com, which will basically take the pain and inflammation out better than anything else I've actually seen on the planet. And that is true. We've tested it against a whole ton of other products, but there you go. Smart oil, in case you're asking again, smart oil. It's really smart because it does all this stuff. It's like CBD, only more legal. um, so if the dog's not sore on his shoulder, or let's just say, okay, we've got that one sorted. Let's now go with a doggy that has all 4 feet that have the staining coloration to them. You'll also see it around the eyes. You'll also see it around the mouth from the saliva. So that's obviously something that's in the system that's coming through, because you know that dogs only sweat through the pads of their feet. And he could be licking each foot individually. Now, what I've been finding out when I've got those dogs that have staining everywhere, there is actually an issue everywhere. And the first thing I will go and test for is parasites. Parasites, viruses, bacterias, anything like that that can cause issue everywhere, or indeed an allergy. An allergy or a sensitivity even can actually do outbreaks like that. For example, pure white dogs and highly processed chicken. Very, very common correlation with that. Lots of people have known that for a long time. Sometimes it's only coming mainstream now, but there's a lot better choices than the overproduced chicken that it's not always showing as an issue. But let's go to the all over dog issue with the staining on the feet, the eyes, the mouth, and maybe in the ears as well. Best thing to do, smell that. You'll smell those Frito feet, as people will call, smell like corn chips, or you'll smell it as yeasty in the ears. That can be an overgrowth of candida, so overgrowth of yeast. So you might have to look at the dog's diet, for example. You might have to look at the acidity level. A lot of people like adding things like turmeric or apple cider vinegar. Now, I mean, I'm not telling you how to treat anything. I'm not diagnosing anything. All of these things are simply suggestions and things of what to look at. So if it's one paw, it could possibly be one paw or one leg issue. If it's all 4 feet and other staining on the face, it could probably be an overproduction of yeast. You may want to look at a grain-free diet. You may want to look at a raw feeding diet. You may also want to maybe even set up an appointment with me to do a remote consult to test that dog to see if there is any H. pylori, parasites, candida overgrowth, other toxicities, or in fact, some insensitivities or allergies to food or any of the ingredients in the food. And actually, if you're doing an appointment with me and you get the forms after you do the deposit, which you can do through finnessiamhealth.com, you'll get forms and it will actually ask you in the forms, I want to know exactly what that dog's eating. So yes, you can go to the manufacturer's website, get the ingredient list and cut and paste that into the forms, because I will actually go through every single ingredient and muscle test to see whether that particular ingredient is actually causing the issue with your animal. Now, sometimes all I have to do is quite simply, I can actually just go with for the name of the food to begin with and go, should the dog eat this food at all? No. But then I will break it down and go through, okay, well, you want to have a better food, but you also want to look for this on your next ingredient listing. So, it's nothing else more than an appointment with me, because I only do certain brands of food locally. So that's the kind of thing where oh, I'd like to do that, Wendie, but I don't want to get into thousands of dollars. Don't worry, you don't have to, and you won't. That's not my aim here at all. We want to get more comfort for your animal. So, okay, we've done one single paw, one single leg. We've done an overall issue, which is generally, um, usually, something to do with what is being ingested, because what goes in comes out. And skin, being the largest organ of the body, is actually what's going to show issues first. So if you do have that all over red staining, browny, orangey red tinge to the beard or around the mouth, around the eyes, the tear staining, it'll be in the ears as well, perhaps has constant issues with ear issues, always smelly, always dirty, always shaking. And certainly there's lots of different things behind ears. We're not even going to touch ears tonight. We're talking about staining on the feet and what can be related to that. So um, going through the all over thing, and it could be insensitivity, or it could be sensitive to certain ingredients. It could be an allergy to a certain ingredient in some food. It could be just an imbalance, perhaps a nutrient deficiency, which is very, very common, especially with high processed commercial dog foods. And the bigger the bag, the cheaper the price, the bigger the issues generally. Some dogs, though, I mean, in all fairness, will be absolutely healthy as horses from now until the day the cows come home and he passes on. Others will not. So that's what we have to figure out. And they can't tell us. Well, they can, but it depends how you know and how you learn how to listen. Um, but you can go with the allergies, you can go with the food, you can go with also environmental issues. So I'm talking about, what kind of laundry detergent are you using? What are you burning in the house? Are you burning essential oils all day long? Have you got stinky candles going? Have you got those little melty things going on everywhere in the house? Because a lot of those are highly, highly, highly toxic in a sense, or definitely to your dog in the sense that, okay, just can't utilize all of that stuff, can't deal with it, can't break it down, and just absolutely horrendous sensitivities to all of that. Other things would be parasites. Definitely get your dog on a full moon protocol with me. Um, that is something that you can easily monitor in the sake of between now and the next month. If there's a full moon in there, you can find out whether that is an issue. If your dog's a wee bit wingy, if your dog is just out of sorts the day of a full moon, the day before, the day after, or all three, for example, then you have a very, very high chance, and a very good probability, that there's some parasites going on in there. So you can do that a natural route. You can go to your vet for that. You have all your choices. We're always saying you have all of the choices that you need, you want. Um, if you want some more natural and effective remedies, if you like, that may help with that. Again, not allowed to say that we can treat, cure anything. We don't treat, we don't cure at all. We can help. We can identify issues and we can help. That is it. So certainly if you need to get in touch with me to do that, or to find out whether that is the issue or what the issue is with the animal, then you can get in touch with me through finnessiamhealth.com. Now, one last little thing that we haven't touched on at all, and this is also a very, very common occurrence, and it was actually through listening to a few dog trainers, actually, 10 years plus ago, and they were identifying these issues. And it was basically where dogs wear pullers, pullers on choke chains, pullers on martingales, pullers on flat collars. It didn't matter. If there was something going around the throat and the dog was pulling hard enough, it could actually end up with neck issues. And that also leads to self-soothing behavior, where I will lie there and do nothing but lick my front feet. So that would be both front feet. So that would be, important then to get your dog on either a full body harness or a freedom no pull harness that we sell under Dogs of Pride, or in fact, just onto some good training to do some off leash or on leash work and some heel work so that everybody is a lot happier and they're not putting that strain on their throats. And in fact, I'm sure any of you with the little dogs who just pull and pull and pull and go the whole way through, you can end up with actually having a collapsed trachea, which is very, very upsetting for the dog as well. But certainly anything that they're pulling through, some people actually like the halties or the gentle leaders or head harnesses as well, to basically they can't pull through as to turn the head away from that forward motion. Those have other things. They're fine if you're walking where there's no other dogs around, because if they're pulling with that, they're then tensing their face up and they actually look aggressive approaching another dog. So I'm a big fan of the no pull harness, but anyway, that's just great for, there's less discomfort on the animal's face, there's less discomfort on the animal's throat, and you don't have to be an absolute rocket science or genius to be able to use them properly. And they're a lot more comfortable for you as well, rather than having to rein in against a dog of 50 pounds plus who wants to pull you down the pathway first. So that would definitely be a thing where they'll basically almost dislocate their shoulders, or they'll strain their neck so much or their throat so much, or pull their chest plate out. Well, very, very uncomfortable. Shoulders are sore, necks sore, and they will lie there and just literally lick both feet all night long. Um, Another thing as well, okay, well, my dog's none of those, Wendy. My dog only licks his back right foot every Thursday. Well, then we've got a very special dog, haven't we? Um, it's probably going a little bit extreme to say it's just every Thursday. It's actually probably every night. It's just that Thursday's your only night home that you actually see him do it. Again, black lab, so you're not seeing any staining. I'm kidding. I'm just teasing you now. Um, but no, say if there is a dog that's actually going after a back foot or even a back hip or something like that, and chances are if they're licking their back feet, it's actually their hips that have the issue. Maybe a bit of hip dysplasia going on there. They may be a larger dog with a little bit of arthritis as they're getting older. So those are other things that you can look at. But staining doesn't come from nowhere, but it's finding out where it's coming from then will help you how to deal with it. And it's knowing the actual cause, the root cause, rather than just using an extra enzyme shampoo or colored chalk to cover up or some sort of pill or something just for a band-aid. But whenever I work with it with you with your animals, I actually want to go and find out what the root is. So we try to do that as much as possible. And we want that dog to feel more comfortable at the end of the day. And we want you to feel more comfortable, because then you know that you've done your dog a good service and being a good pet guardian and looked after them as much as you possibly can to give them a happier, healthier life. So there, in turn, it takes some stress off you and you can enjoy their company as much as they enjoy yours. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've maybe got a little tidbit, or in fact, you may have half a dozen other ones to add to it. So please do get in touch with us, reach out. I don't sit here and claim to know everything there is to know about everything, not at all. But if I have some little bit or little tidbit of knowledge that you haven't known about before or haven't thought of before, and it might make that little four-legged best friend of yours more comfortable in its life, then that's all I'm here to do. And that's my job. And that makes my heart full. So hopefully that has helped you. Let me know. Reach out, finnessiamhealth.com. And you can always contact us through there, or in fact, share, put a comment on the podcast and let us know what you liked or didn't like. Let us know what you want to hear about next. Let us know who you loved us having on and you want to see again. um, Anything and everything. We love hearing from you. We love getting the stories and we love sharing your journey. So until next time, as always, thank you so much and stay possum.
All information, products, and topics discussed in the show are simply the host and guest's personal opinions and are for informational purposes only. None claim to offer a diagnosis, treatment, or cure. All listeners and viewers are encouraged to do their own research and consult with their own healthcare providers before changing or adapting any new protocols. Finnessiam Holistic Health, nor any of its entities, assume any responsibility or liability for any consequence relating directly or indirectly from the information contained within the podcast.